What's up, investors? It's the Russian dude. Let's get straight to the point and talk about some ridiculous Russian propaganda. Okay, today we have these BRICS games. Think about it like Putin who wanted to participate in the Olympics and he was not allowed to, so he created his own Olympics with blackjack and yes. So long story short, this is the games where all the Russians are winning, but that's another story. Because right here we have participant, one of Russian athletes, and the commentator is saying the following. Oh wow, look at this guy. Perfect height, perfect shape. Just look at his head. Such a perfect skull, blue eyes, white hair. Just a perfect example of a human being. He must have so many women running around him. Guys, if you kinda thought that maybe I was citing Germany from 1930s, 1940s, no, you don't understand, this is different. It is Putin who wants to denazify Ukraine, not the opposite. There are no nationalists within the Russian government, so whenever there are comments like this about their own Olympic Games, well, once again, you just don't understand it, it's different. But okay, now let's talk about, well, actually not something serious like I wanted to say. I even wanted to include this as a part of ridiculous Russian propaganda, but then I realized that it actually deserves its own chapter. We're gonna talk about the second day of Vladimir Putin's presence in North Korea. First of all, he was obviously watching some parades, kids singing, like this kind of entertainment, North Korean style. And then Vladimir Putin and Kim Jong-un, they went into Mercedes, even though both of them, they hate everything from the West, right? This Mercedes was specially modified, they were standing, driving around. Eventually Putin himself, he said, hey Kim Jong-un, we also have our own cars called Auros. And no, they do not look like Rolls-Royce, don't worry. And Putin, he took Kim Jong-un for a nice mountain drive. Assuming there are mountains in North Korea, obviously, right? They had a very pleasant conversation, they were thanking each other, they were giving each other compliments, just two dudes enjoying each other's company. But as a result of this two-day trip of Vladimir Putin to North Korea, they signed a very important mutual agreement. According to the representatives of this meeting, this is supposed to bring the relationship between North Korea and Russia to the brand new, whole new next level. In every single field, sector of the economy, culture, humanitarian support, pretty much anything. And one of the main responsibilities of the next years of this mutual cooperation is to destroy the sole influence of America on the world and create a bipolar world, where every single country has its own voice, everyone can express themselves. And yes, this comes from the leaders of North Korea and Russia. Putin also acknowledged that North Korea is a very independent and free-thinking country, because it did not follow the Western propaganda and did not start supporting Ukraine blindly just because America tells them to do this. In response to that, Putin explained exactly why Russia is doing all these things in Ukraine and why North Korea has to support Russia. But yet, North Korea is a free will country. At the same time, both of these countries, they will work together to ease the effects of the Western sanctions, even though according to Putin, they do not have any effect on the Russian economy at all. And ultimately, in case there is an attack against either Russia or North Korea, the other country will have to come to its aid, just like Gondor in The Lord of the Rings. Eventually, the conversations between Putin and Kim Jong-un lasted approximately 11 hours, a lot of agreements were made, and then he left to the next country, Vietnam. And while Putin makes alliances with pretty questionable partners, Ukraine is actually developing and continues to advance its own military industry sector, cooperates with the rest of the world, and seeks the support from pretty much almost everyone. And for example, recently Ukrainians in France recently presented their brand new next generation futuristic artificial intelligence drone called Bulava, which as you can see on your screens, this is how it looks. And long story short, what it will allow to do. One of the best features about this particular drone is that it will be able to find the weak spots in any particular military vehicles or military targets of Russians and strike precisely there, minimizing the input from the drone operator and obviously making all these attacks extremely precise. The top speeds can be reached at 100 kilometers per hour, which is approximately 65 miles per hour. It can fly autonomously on single charge for more than an hour at least. It can distinguish targets not just during the day but also during the night, and it is extremely resistant to the electronic warfare equipment, once again making it extremely hard target to be intercepted. So honestly, I have no idea how the Z army is gonna deal with this new drone as soon as it appears on the front lines, because right now I have dozens of photos and videos where single soldiers are throwing their helmets, body armor at just regular drones, the one that you can even buy on AliExpress or Alibaba, and the army cannot even protect themselves against these very simple drones. So you can only imagine how much of a game changer it will be when Bulava enters the conflict. Right, and now briefly let's talk about Russia withdrawing its western defenses, and then I'm gonna give you a quick update from the front lines, because there are some things worth talking about. And long story short, Russians, according to these satellite images, they had to withdraw almost every single piece of military vehicles, equipment, radars, air defense systems, all this kind of stuff from its borders, northwestern borders with Finland. Because, well, there is a massive shortage of such things in Ukraine itself, and no matter what the Z propaganda tells you that the production exceeds the level of consumption multiple times, well, as you can see, Putin, whose original goal was not to let NATO expand, and whenever Finland entered the alliance, the border with Russia literally doubled in less than a couple of weeks. And well, apparently it is no longer that much of a threat. NATO. Apparently the biggest threat is Ukraine, because Putin is ready to remove all of its western defenses and bring them back to Ukraine. Well, it kinda tells you exactly. It kinda tells you exactly what's in Putin's mind. However complicated it might be to tell. He does not care much about NATO. He does not care about the influence of America. He does not care about American sanctions. Only thing he cares about is to put his name into Russian history as a conqueror, as a person who reunited lands which were previously a part of a Russian empire. This is his only sole goal of this so-called special military operation. And now, as promised, let me give you a brief update from Ukrainian front lines. Guys, normally I would make this a Patreon chapter, but not today. This will be also on YouTube, but unfortunately I will have to censor most of the footage. For this reason, if you want to see fully uncensored episode, also if you want to receive these episodes in early access hours before they go live on YouTube, please go ahead and check my Patreon. It's the best way to support my work right now. This Patreon subscriptions is what keeps the Russian dude going. Please check my Patreon, the link is down below. Thanks so much. Now let's continue. And so yeah, first of all, in Vasilivka, Zaporozhye region, Ukrainians once again were able to find a Russian temporary military base inside this settlement and pretty much pinpoint destroy it with high precision attack. In Krasnodar region, obviously located on the territory of Russia, as you can see from this map, yet another pretty big oil refinery was targeted most likely by a Ukrainian drone. In Vovchansk, Russians continue to bring engineering equipment and build fortifications, dig trenches, things like this, while Ukrainians do not let them do it in peace by destroying even more engineering equipment. And then in Vovchansk itself, a very small unit of the soldiers that enter the outskirts of the city, try to kinda entrench themselves, try to gain the foothold in some of the abandoned houses. Well, there is no reason for Ukrainians to let them do it. They were able to discover them and put them to eternal sleep. And just in general, at least 2 pretty big assault attempts by the Z army was made against Vovchansk in the last 24 hours. Every single one of them was successfully repelled. And ultimately right here is the video of Ukrainian elite unit called Omega from Chasiv Yar, where they show the cleaning process of the remainders of the Z army on the outskirts of the city. I mean, at this point, I do not see any single chance for Russians to capture Chasiv Yar, at least not in the near future. Not at all. That is why these remainders of the Z soldiers, those small units still located on the outskirts, They have literally their fates predetermined. Have no idea why they still follow the orders of their commandment, because this is a one-way road. But well, what else can we do? Well, there you have it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Please like this video, subscribe to my channel if this was interesting, informative, or hopefully both. Check other links down below, my PayPal donations, Patreon, Instagram, and of course brand new merch, what we have right now, new hoodies, new t-shirts, new Adidas hats. I love them so much. Thank you so much for watching. See you tomorrow.